Hey guys, and welcome back to the final part of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. We're starting off with a pretty neat level here. Fun fact, this is actually the Hell Dragon's favourite Sonic 2 stage. Oh yes, we're repping him even when he's not here. Will he ever appear in a playthrough again? Who knows? I just like to cock tease, basically. Richie, in between parts, just to move swiftly on before I incur the wrath of the HOC fanbase, I asked you to look up the cut zones from Sonic 2, and I believe you have a little something for us?
Indeed I do, Tom. So, there's a nice, very helpful page on the cutting room floor, which basically lists everything that was cut from Sonic 2. So there's just like there's ring placements and all sorts. But in terms of the scrapped zones, you've got Unused Zone number 1.
Ah, my favourite.
Which is basically an objectless version of Emerald Hill Act 1.
Okay.
You've got Wood Zone, which has some of the prototype type stuff left in there. So it's basically woody, obviously.
Yeah, kind of like Knothole, really.
Yeah, but it's weird because I think it has Metropolis Zone's music and Glitchy Collision. If you because if you use Action Replay, you can actually play the level.
Okay.
And all weird stuff happens with that. There's Unused Zone number 2.
My second favourite.
Which is pretty much identical to Unused Zone number 1. With the only differences being that some of the background is still intact, as well as the fact that it uses Oil Ocean Zone's theme as its default music.
Okay, it was nice for the 5 seconds we got to hear it, Flame. Thanks for that, by the way.
Indeed. Then you've got Hidden Palace Zone, which is obviously completely balmy and doesn't make any sense.
That was in the Taxman remake or remaster / port, wasn't it, Flame?
Yeah, like I briefly mentioned last part, in that version, which I believe is still phone only, unfortunately, but you can get a version that they finished off the level. They sort of made their own creative version of it and put it in the game.
Indeed.
Not to be confused with Hidden Palace from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, by the way, completely different. Any more, Rich?
There is one more, which is Unused Zone number 3, which is also very similar to Emerald Hill Zone.
My 5th favourite.
Yeah.
There are a whole bunch of other unused things. So actually with Oil Ocean, there's a section of the background that isn't used at all. So the background layout is 768 pixels wide internally, but the game only uses the first 512 pixels.
Okay.
So basically that other bit of the background just never gets used.
Well, I don't understand Sonic Team now. I doubt I would have understood them back in the day, so what are you going to do?
I mean, I have to say, it's quite fact that this cutting room floor place is really fascinating because, they've got even more specific. So they've got the fact that Sonic 2 has 64 by 32 tiles, which is 512 by 256 pixels loaded at a time, and loads new tiles on the edges as you move around the level. Oil Ocean Zone's scrolling code doesn't reload any tiles as you move horizontally, leaving you with the same horizontal area of the background that you started with. Presumably this is because the tile loading would eventually overwrite the tiles used for the sun, which never moves.
Oh god, my brain, too much useless information. Flame, opinions about Oil Ocean, please. You gotta de-nerdify this shit.
I'll get back into nerd shit in a minute, but Oil Ocean, it's okay. I think it's got one of them levels where you can go off the beaten path a bit and, your mileage may vary whether that's a good thing or not. This boss is a bit shit. If you don't have Supersonic, there's a lot of waiting around. If you do have Supersonic, there's a lot of waiting around, and the boss is a piss easy on top of that. But yeah, in terms of the general development, the other day I was just playing around with some of the prototypes that are out there, and one of them, the earliest one that we have record of, which is the Nick Arcade one, and it's called that because it was the version that was demoed on a Nick Arcade show. That one, it's very primitive if you dig into it, because what the particular prototype lets you get to is Emerald Hill, and that's it.
Right.
It's an incomplete Emerald Hill, and the physics are a bit whack. There was this weird wall collision motion they had that if you went into a wall, instead of just stopping dead, it would bounce you back. And it's really irritating. It's kind of like Unused in that way, that if you crash into something, you get knocked back. But also, if you put in like the level select, there's other incomplete levels. There's a lot of, the levels that are clearly nothing to them yet. But there's also Green Hill in there. Like Green Hill from Sonic 1. And what that shows, and what people who actually understand programming probably already knowing is obvious to them, but this game was basically built on top of Sonic 1.
Makes sense.
So, if you look at it a certain way, this game is basically a fan hack.
Well, I'd find it hard to disagree, mate. I'd find it hard to disagree. Now we've come to my major point of contention for Sonic 2. You can forget the special stages, you can forget the slightly overly bright aesthetics of Emerald Hill, etc., and other nitpicky things. Metropolis Zone, challenging though it may be, is one of my least favourite zones in all of Sonic, and features pretty much every problem of Sonic 2 encapsulated into one area. Too many spikes, too many attacks that come from off screen, and by the way, those seahorse enemies in Oil Ocean Zone, they're a prime candidate for off-screen bollocks, so
oh, yeah, that's not fun.
-1 point for them, I suppose. And I don't know, I just find it unfun. In terms of final levels, I always like Death Egg more, although it may just be going through those ring tunnels that excited my childlike brain. Who's to say, really? But you want to make sure you've got Supersonic by this point, otherwise you're going to have a bad time. Unless you're good at games, then you're going to have a middling time, I guess. How did you find it, Flame?
I want to like Metropolis so much because I like the music and I like the just general look of Metropolis, but there's a little bit too much bullshit to look past. I don't flat out dislike it like you do, but yeah, it's one of the weak levels. It's one of the more frustrating levels if you start fucking up,
Mm-hmm. Right. Wasn't there a little thing also left on the cutting room floor about Metropolis, Flame?
Yes, there was, and we're not there yet, but Metropolis actually has a third act, unlike all the other levels in the game, because that was one of the changes from Sonic 1 to 2, that most of the levels went down from 3 acts to 2 acts. Mm-hmm. But Metropolis, there's a third one, and the reason why that's here is that third act was originally going to be its own original zone, and that zone went by the name of Genocide City.
Metal!
Oh!
That is a fucking metal name, yeah. And apparently the reasoning behind that, and the only reason I've ever seen, is that apparently the person who named it wasn't that familiar with the English language and they wanted a name that sounded intimidating. So they picked Genocide.
Jesus Christ, why didn't you call it the Holocaust Zone? God damn.
It's the next thing, really. But yeah, the layout we have for Metropolis Act 3 is the layout they were going to use for Genocide City, complete. That was all ready to go and they just didn't make the art assets for Genocide City.
Right.
And I don't know whether it was a timing thing or whether they just changed their mind about having a unique extra zone at the end, but they just decided, we've got this level layout, we might as well use it. And so that's why there's a third act to Metropolis.
Might be for the best, because don't you, if you don't have all the emeralds by this point, doesn't the game just end after this? There's, no Sky Chase, no Wing Fortress, etc.?
It's been so long since I've just played this beforehand, I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, why are you going to play a Sonic game and not get all the emeralds? You want Supersonic, don't you? You want the feeling of being out of control and being fucking tethered to a franchise that has more bad games than good ones at this point.
I think a little bit more came out in that little rant than you were intending.
Been a long time since I played a genuinely good Sonic game. Man, I hope Forces delivers.
Yeah, well, let's wait and see before we go anything there. But yeah, if I'm gonna play a game just for the fun of it, I tend to go with one or CD, and that's just because, I say, familiarity. Sonic 1 Mega Drive, I believe it's the first video game I ever played. I've got it basically written in my brain now. And if I'm just playing casually there, then because Sonic 1, it doesn't matter. I just don't bother with the emeralds.
Wait. It doesn't matter. You don't care about Green Hill having, bushels of flowers and whatnot?
No, who gives a shit? If I'm not going super, why do I care? Fuck South Island!
Well, what about the time stones in the CD? Don't you want to get good future?
No, I like the future industrial Eggman taking over shit. That's cool. It's like fucking Cyberpunk or some shit. I love it.
You realise it's because of people like you we got Shadow the Hedgehog, right? Mr. I owned like 4 separate copies of the fucking game.
Well, I mean, I do technically own 5, but I can't find my second PS2 one. So.
Oh my god, Flame. It just gets worse.
I can't believe FTA etc. got replaced with you. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, HFC's gone downhill, you know.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Glory days are long gone at this point. But let's talk final stages here, because, you know, again, this screams final level.
Oh,
it's
yes.
industrial. It's essentially Sonic 2's version of Scrap Brain from Sonic 1. And, you know, there's tons of, like, vicious badniks and whatnot. And I really hate the badniks in this zone, as a side note. I don't think you'll ever hear anyone saying, oh, my favourite badnik is the Slicer. I love how I can't dodge its blades effectively. Oh, and don't get me started on the crab, whose hitbox is a piece of shit. Or, you know, the starfish, who, you know, put me in the fucking bind because I'm on a moving platform when they fire. But I'm getting onto a tangent here. Flame, what's your favourite... I would say, let's stick to 2D. What's your favourite ending stage in a 2D Sonic game?
Oh, I'm not sure. I see, like, the ending stages tend to be where, like, it goes to a particular tone that doesn't quite resonate with me as much as, you know, the mid-game levels where, you know, you got the peppy stuff. Like, the, you know, ones that you usually get, like you say, the industrial levels, the intense levels, I don't really remember them that much, so I don't really have a favourite or least favourite. Fair
enough, fair enough. What about you, Rich? And you can use 3D for this, otherwise it'll be a very quick conversation.
Well, you see, what I was going to say was, I'll go for Terminal Velocity, because that's basically a 2D level, isn't it?
I can see your point. I can see why you'd like it. For me, it's going to stick with, I would say, either Scrap Brain or Death Egg. I'm not really a fan of Metal Madness. We've already talked about how much I don't like Metropolis Zone. And, like, what's my other choice here? What's the fucking last level of Sonic 3D? And that's isometric. It's not full 3D movement. I think you're fine.
My favourite 3D Blast or Flicky's Island level, that's a really hard ask. I don't know how I could possibly choose my favourite of them pieces of shit.
It's all about Green Grove Zone, mate, and don't think you're getting out of recording that one. It's gonna happen.
Well, I'll get to it eventually, because that's what my life is, but I'm gonna do it through my teeth, you know that.
Fair enough, mate, fair enough. I'm not a fan of this boss. It's just kind of like the cherry on the shit sundae that is Metropolis Zone. Sorry if I'm being overly negative. The rest of the game, I, you know, quite enjoy. It's just Metropolis Zone I have major beef with.
Interesting thing about this, or not interesting, depending on your mileage, like, one of the Sonic 4 bosses, I believe it was the Mad Gear one, which was just a rip-off of this level, they had, like, a sort of inverse thing where it's like, he has a similar sort of pattern, but the things that fall down hurt you rather than being the thing you meant to attack, and it's like, okay. Like, fuck you, muscle memory, I guess.
And, of course, you know, Mecha Sonic from 3 and K, he goes through, like, the motions of this boss, along with, I think, the Green Hill Robotnik fight from Sonic 1.
Like, that was all in Sky Sanctuary, wasn't it? Where they just rehash a bunch of stuff.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. Oh, man. You know, I'm not really as big of a fan of Sky Chase Original as a lot of people are, but I gotta say, this music is so chill.
It's just such a sort of kick-back, relaxed piece of music, which, when you fly through the sky, dodging things being shot at you, in context, it's arguable, but just to sit down and listen to the song, I love it.
Conceptually, it's great. Like, yeah, it's very hard to actually, like, fall off and die here, because it looks like, at least to me, Tails' plane is locked onto you. Like, there's an invisible, like, Knuckles Chaotix tether, you know, tying Sonic and Tails together. You know, he's essentially controlling the tornado with the power of his mind.
Do you remember when they had a version of this in Sonic 4 Episode 2? Remember how fun that was?
It wasn't bad. I didn't mind it.
It's one of them that, fuck trying to play that on co-op.
Yeah. I think the version I did way back when I was in my streaming phase, I did a co-op playthrough with Sky, so go check that out if you want a mediocre playthrough, I suppose.
You're not very good at this advertising shit, are you? I thought you'd learn to shill after Let's Playing for so long.
No, I'm good at it. I'm just truthful at the same time, mate. I think you're fine.
They don't go hand in hand.
Ah, well, true. I'll never be a politician or an advertiser, I suppose. Oh, look, it's Flying Battery's less charismatic brother.
Well, Flying Battery as a level, it's okay. Like, I just remember that level for the music more than the actual level itself.
Well, I like the level design, and recently, at the time of this recording, they put out footage of Knuckles playing through the Sonic Mania version of Flying Battery, and they didn't remix the music, which is a bit of a shame. It's very clearly remastered, though, because you can hear, like, ha, 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 in the background. Very descriptive, I know, but the level design has been tweaked. It looks more challenging, which is pretty fun.
During these sort of pulley sections where you go down, they sort of rotate, and I hope that isn't as fiddly as it looks like it could be, with them going both up and down while you're trying to jump from one to the next.
Oh, you don't have to jump. If they're adjacent, you can just, like, move between, like, both, lickety-split.
Oh, that's kind of what I meant. I was getting at that. Like, do they have to line up perfectly for that, or are they going to give you a big enough bit of leeway?
There's a bit of leeway from what I saw, and I'm guessing you weren't comfortable with that jump right there.
No, and it was that little bit too far away from me.
The flames are licking Sonic's head. Why isn't he dead?
Yeah, the flames don't hurt you for some reason. Like, okay.
Right. Well, you see, it's because they're not actually flames, they're just cardboard cutouts that have got, like, lights on them so they're sort of flickering. It's that whole dealio.
I thought you fucking died back there. Do you have a suicide wish, mate?
No, I've got a letting you die wish. You seem to be far more affected by this, granted because I've seen the footage and I know where things fuck up.
Well, yeah, of course, Mr. Whatever, passive aggressive.
And I absolutely needed that invincibility, by the way.
Well, yeah, I've never been a fan of Wing Fortress because, again, it's got stuff coming from off-screen sometimes thanks to these chicken bandits, which I think that's what Scratch was based on in Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Don't quote me on that, but, you know, since you have Burrowbot, I think, who also comes from Sonic 2, sounds about right.
It does indeed sound about right, and, do you want a little bit of info about an early Wing Fortress zone?
Okay, mate, but keep it brief.
Well, you know the bit of Wing Fortress zone that you saw in Sky Chase Zone?
Uh-huh.
That's actually the early version of the level, and actually it has several differences from the final version, because you can note that some windows have been removed and others are added, in addition to rivets, a long metal frame in the left, and a small platform near the propellers of the lower left corner, so it looks slightly different to what we ended up with in the end.
Interesting. I never knew there was a one-up there. That's pretty cool. Oh, he's going to space. That sprite of Robotnik looked really odd for some reason.
Not quite as standout as the model of Robotnik towards the end of Sonic Adventure in Sonic Story. That is fucking hilarious, where he has like 4 polygons.
Well, see you, Tails. You've done your job here. I don't know when you had time to install that jet thruster onto the tornado, but, you know, I'm not going to look a gift plane in the mouth. I'll see you later. God, I hope I've got enough rings to make it to the Death Egg.
It's still counted down as well.
That's just cruel.
I mean, that's the plot of the game, by the way. Like, Robotnik built a Death Egg, Sonic has to destroy it. And after you do, that's when it crashes into, you know, Angel Island, and just the events of Sonic 3 and K begin. There, I just summed up the lore of the Death Egg saga in less than 10 seconds.
I love how I've run out of Supersonic within, like, the last few frames of that cutscene there.
No, it's like you're making a Sonic movie. It works, you know, it's paced very well.
But yeah, this is the final level of the game, and you don't get any rings here, which I know is a bit of a point of contention here.
Oh yeah. Are you talking about me, aren't you? Because I hate this. I do not like artificial difficulty, which is what denying the player health is. I'm sorry. Especially because you've got to do 2 bosses in a row, and the second one has a fucking finicky hitbox. Now, let me just say, besides that, I think this ending is pretty fucking high. Like, I like Silver Sonic, I like the Egg Robo. Is that what it's called? The Death Egg Robot?
Yeah, Death Egg Robo. I will say, in terms of like this level not giving you rings, I've got 2 points about that. 1, put a checkpoint between the bosses.
Yes.
2, I think either have a boss where you have to perfect it, or a live system, like pick one, because I don't like the idea that I've only got a lot of lives here because I'm safe scumming to get perfect runs. Like, you wouldn't have anywhere near this many lives if you were just playing the game yourself normally.
Right.
And I don't think it's fair that you could run out and game over, like, in the last stretch. I think the idea of having a challenging boss like this it's okay. Like, yeah, it's a little bit on the bullshit side, but whatevs. Like, I can take it. But the fact that you can fuck over your whole game, like your whole run, I mean, from that feels a bit. That's what turns it unfair to me.
Yeah.
Really, it's just the hitboxes for me that ruin it. Like, the boss itself and its patterns are fine. It's kind of hard to guesstimate what you're gonna land on sometimes. Is it belly or is it spikes? We'll never know.
He could have took one more step and won there.
No, I've already taken his rings. I want it to be fair,
Well, I mean, that is the way that Eggman does his battles. Like, you would have thought by now he would have effectively figured out how to kill Sonic, but he just can't do it, because Sonic and Eggman are Batman and the Joker.
Pretty much.
Effectively. They can't live without one another.
Nicely done, Flame. That was pretty slick. Alright, I guess we better start wrapping up here while Tails watches his friend die in the stratosphere. Oh, what a heartwarming ending. Flame, Sonic 2, less than 10 words, go for it, mate.
Sonic 2, I think it's quite a lot of fun. Second favourite classic Sonic game. I can't count to 10.
Fair enough, mate. Sonic 2 is a very solid game. 3K for life. 3K is one word in this instance.
Okay.
This was fun.
It was. I really enjoyed doing this short playthrough, but oh god, next time is a playthrough I have to record, and
your favourite?
Shut up.
That underrated game.
Oh no, oh god.
While I don't mind the game, I'm kind of regretting putting it up for commentary duty now, but I guess I'll stop dicking around and tell you. We'll see you guys next time for the HellfireComms playthrough of Sonic and the Secret Rings. Another one that has been a long time coming, because I never finished it with FTA, but I guess all things get finished eventually, so thank you for watching our playthrough of Sonic 2. I've been Tom64.
I've been the Flameclaw.
And I have been X-Gamer Richie.
See you next time for another HFC playthrough. Bye-bye.